to start right away. Good evening, everyone. My name is Emmanuel, and you're all welcome to the Scholarship Part 23.0. It's my pleasure to have each and every one of you join us this evening to be able to get some insight around the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship, of which we have three wonderful guests that will be talking to us throughout their own experience. So without much ado, I will just introduce our speakers who will be happy to share the experience. First and foremost, without any particular order, I'll be introducing Precious Eze, who holds a Bachelor of Law degree from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. She's currently undergoing her Master's in Public Law of Global Security, Peace and Development at the University of Glasgow, and is a recipient of the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship. She currently works as the chairperson of the Committee on Governance, Peace and Migration of the EU Youth Sounding Board in Nigeria, a trainee counsel at the Federal Ministry of Justice in Nigeria as in 2022, a research assistant at the Department of United Nations International and Comparative Law in 2021. I know, right? International Affairs Analyst at the University of Lagos Radio in 2021, a graduate intern at the Owando PLC in 2020, and an undergraduate intern at the top Nigerian law firms from 2016 to 2019. She has a license in treatment of childhood associated with terrorist groups from the United Nations Office of Drug and Crimes, Pakistan, in September 2022. She also had a specialized training course for government legal advisor and legal officer from the Nigerian Institute of Advanced Legal Studies in 2022 as well. And there's so much more to talk about her, but most importantly, she is someone who is an advocate for women, especially understanding gender-based violence from women at risk in International Foundation. And she has been doing this right from November 2021. Precious, thank you for joining the call. And everyone, please help me welcome Precious to this session.
The amazing woman, you're welcome.
Next, we'll be talking about Chinaza Juliana Okafor, who holds a bachelor's degree in crop science from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, in 2022, and is currently undergoing her master's in plant breeding, plant biology for sustainable production at the Swedish University of Agricultural Science. At the University of Natural Science and Life Sciences in Vienna. So basically, it's a two college degree as it stands. She holds a license in Discover Best Practice Farming for Sustainable in 2050 from Coursera course certificate. And she also has a honor and award as the 39th Houston Conference Best Student Presenter, both for the undergraduate and postgraduate level, issued by the Horticultural Society of Nigeria in 2021. Aside that, she has participated in the UNESCO International Center for Biotechnology Undergraduate Scholarship and received the award issued by UNESCO in 2020 November. Please join me welcome Chinaza as well on the call. And then finally, our wonderful man on the panel, Darlington Nnabodo, who holds a bachelor degree in chemical engineering from Michael Okpara University of Agriculture, Umudike. He is also a successful applicant and also an awardee of the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship, currently pursuing a master's degree at the University of Technology, the Troyes. In other words, University of Technology Troyes in Risk and Management from 2020 to 2023, and also at the Politechnika Krakowska. This is in Poland, so please, I'm not going to bite my tongue. Danity, you help us out. He worked as a volunteer research assistant at Michael Okpara University of Agriculture, Umudike, and also an application engineer intern at Blue Seal Energy Services back in 2016. He holds a license in industrial biotechnology from Coursera, electric utilities fundamentals from Coursera as well, and also has a natural gas certification from Coursera. Please help me welcome Darlington to the call. So basically, we have just introduced our three panelists who will be talking to us about their experience applying for the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship. We're going to be having this in three phases. Basically, we're going to talk around the pre-application process, and then we'll talk around the application process, and finally, delving more into the post-application process, of which Precious first will be going around the pre-application process, then we'll have Chinaza talk around what the application entails, and even how to be able to stop or crop your statement of purpose to the best way you can. And then finally, Darlington will lead us through what the post-application process entails and how to prepare yourself even after getting the scholarship. So yes, on this note, Precious, I would like to invite you to the floor now. I have questions for you. The first one of which I want to start is, what is this Erasmus Mundus Scholarship everyone is talking about? Let's hear it from you first.
Okay. So basically, the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship is a scholarship that is funded by the European Commission. Okay. It allows, it pays your tuition fees and also covers like your travel costs. Like they don't get to book the flights for you, but like they refund a stated amount for you. So it's basically like a fully funded program that allows you to study outside the country. And what differentiates the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship from some other scholarships is the fact that you get to study in about minimum of 2 countries and maximum of 4 countries and in different universities. So at the end of the program, you don't have just one degree, but you have like dual degrees or or 3 certificates from the different universities you studied in. So it allows that multicultural experience, and you also experience like academic life in different countries. That's basically what the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship is.
That's interesting. Thank you for sharing with that. I think everyone is now geared towards hearing more about your experience. So what does this scholarship actually mean to you? Basically, before applying, why Erasmus Mundus in the first place? And sorry, I don't know if it's okay if you would like to turn on your video, so at least we can get to see.
That's true. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay, so what Erasmus Mundus and what does the scholarship mean to me? For me, right from uni, I was very interested in international law. And international law for many lawyers in Nigeria is not like it's not the part that most lawyers in Nigeria want to tread. Corporate law, like working in like top law firms in Nigeria, doing corporate finance are the more popular part. And I knew that I wanted to do Erasmus because for international law, like what actually makes you relevant in the field and to even get a job in international law is first of all having a master's. Most of the jobs always ask you for a master's. And to be honest, there's even like an argument around it, but like international law kind of has more of an European perspective, like more European countries, I don't know, like kind of made more impact in international law. So like having a master's in Europe was already something, and doing a master's abroad was something I knew I needed to do if I wanted to really excel in international law. And then I saw Erasmus and the fact that it would allow me to travel across 3 different countries for me who had never traveled before. I saw it as a big opportunity. And also the fact that in my 3rd university, I'll get to like do one of the courses in French. And that's something I'd always wanted to do because in international law as well, you most likely will succeed more when you have an alternative language. So what the scholarship means to me is basically like a ticket to my dreams, like a ticket to actually, becoming who I want to be. Yeah. So yeah, that's what it is. And that's why I chose Erasmus Mundus.
Thank you so much, Precious. I think that really helps a lot. And we're able to like peak understanding. So next question I'll probably want to ask you is with regards to building, will I say capacity values during the course of your development stage. So basically, what was it like for you? Maybe a typical example would be your LinkedIn profile where you said you meticulously gathering skills and experience in the field of international law. So which means it's not just something that just started today or yesterday, it's been something you've been building up carefully and with some sense of zest. So can you tell us what exactly actually went through? How did you go about building yourself to be the best candidate?
Okay, so for me, I think the realization that I had to be intentional about gathering international law focused experience came after something happened. So, like I said, I'd always liked international law, and I was applying. You can't hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. So I was applying for an internship in an international court, which was located in The Hague, Netherlands. So basically, I think the internship only took about 15 students from around the world every year. And I applied the first time. I really, and also you also had to get a letter from your VC, like actually nominating you. So like I actually pushed, imagine me like having to like reach the VC and stuff. So I went through a lot to actually even get the application through, because it's the university that has to apply for you, not even you yourself. And after applying and everything, I didn't get it. So I went back to the drawing board, and then I checked the profile of people that had gotten that internship in the past. Most of them had worked maybe in their country's Ministry of Justice, in their country's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, had worked with the UN, had worked in like very relevant like places that once you look at, you just see that, oh, this was the reason why the international courts chose them. Because for me at that point, I just had basically 1 or 2 law firm experience. I was really feeling myself. I'd done an internship in Orlando. I'm like, nobody, papa, Orlando chick. But like, it was so relevant. And some law firms. So that's when I now realized that, if I really want to like get international internship at this court, I have to like, my profile has to match what I'm looking out for. So it wasn't even the scholarship I was working towards at this point. It was that internship, because it really meant a lot for me. So I now strategized. I said, okay, and because while in the university, like I said, there's not much focus on international law. Everybody's all for law firm practice, and also no one really tells you should do internships in like non-law firm places. So I just like itemized. I went on Google, checked out for like places I could do an internship that were international law related. So after my law school, I applied to Nigerian Institute of International Affairs. I did an internship there. My next target was ECOWAS Court of Justice. I'm like, okay, if I can show that I've worked at the regional courts, then maybe the international courts will consider me. So I applied. That one was a long waka. The SHA said they were not taking. So eventually, it was time to do my youth service, and I did it at the Ministry of Justice and everything like that. So basically, I think once you know where you want to go, you know the course you probably want to do in the Erasmus, then you not intentionally, it can take a year or a little over, but you not intentionally strive and make moves that are targeted towards it. And when people, and it even informs your motivation letter, your statement of purpose, because you're able to, everything you're saying is just matching like what it is, and they can really reflect that yes, you're really passionate about this course, and like there's no other reason why they should not give it.
Thank you so much. I think with all you've said, it just connects the dots to how the process started, how you're able to like leverage useful experience, be able to like bolster your profile and the like. And these are learning points that people need to understand. It's not just basically saying you want to apply for courses, but aside the scholarship, are there other things that you feel is relevant to your growth that perhaps would also help to like push you ahead of others? So for everyone joining, both those from the law background and even those from non-law backgrounds, please take good cues from these advices and also try to implement it in yours. So next, I think the next question I'll probably want to ask is, Precious, there are a lot of law candidates just like you who are looking for opportunities with regards to the Erasmus Mundus. There has been this bias that Erasmus Mundus is only meant for probably science-related students or courses. And so maybe not everyone is aware of this. What would be your advice to people within the non-science background, maybe giving a case study from the law perspective? What would be your advice to candidates who are willing to apply for the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship?
I don't know if I really got your question. What would be my advice to candidates from non-science backgrounds who are applying to the Erasmus Mundus?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I actually feel like Erasmus has a bit of everything: economics, law, science. Although I think maybe they have more science courses. I mean, the advice I would give to non-science related people who are applying would also be the same that I will give to science student as well. Like I don't think there's any particularly special. It's the same thing, really. Yeah. I mean, the same thing all the tips I would give would basically be all the tips that will be mentioned in this Zoom session. Yeah.
Okay, and which maybe give us some. Let me hear. At least before others we share theirs.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, give some tips. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I think for me though, it's probably good to like already know, like, let it not just be, oh, well, it's possible. It also works this way for some people that they just find out about an application 1 month before, 2 weeks before, and they just apply. But if possible, it's kind of good that like you already have that foresight of it. Like, you want to do this application a year ahead or, some months ahead. So you intentionally plan towards it, you tick the boxes towards it. Try to, attend sessions like this as well. During my time, I think I didn't miss any session that had to do with Erasmus. I made sure I attended all of them. Then have one tip I would give is most of the programs actually place a premium on research, especially for the science-related courses. So in my case, I had to reach out to one of my lecturers whose focus was international law, and I offered to be research assistant for about a year or more than a year, and apparently volunteering without pay. So it can help most times because most of these programs, they even tell you they're looking for researchers. So that's actually one way to actually get that research experience, and it always helps. And also in that internship I spoke about, that was when I realized it can be very hard to get recommendation letters, let alone getting a good one. Because at that point, I just realized, I didn't have any lecturer I could really meet to write me a recommendation letter. Because in uni, I was just a normal student. I wasn't like a class rep that had a good rapport with lecturers and all. It was just my project supervisor, and it was not a very good relationship with him. So one thing also is to intentionally build relationship with your lecturers, because you will need them. And you need them not just for them to write a generalistic recommendation letter, but a recommendation letter that will speak depth. And to do so, maybe volunteering or working for some of your lecturers who are working in the field you intend to specialize as research assistants would help, because in the recommendation letter, they'll be able to say, refer to, oh, she worked with me on this project and I really saw her research skills and this was the result. So it makes your recommendation letter stand out. That's one with regards to recommendation letter. Which other tips? Basically, like I said, just try to gather all the work experience, research experience, courses, and things that would like count for you. Apply on time within the deadline. And yeah, that's all the tips I can remember for now. If I remember some more, I'll mention. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Precious. This is really relevant. And basically, you've shared every tidbit of advice that anyone would really like to have hands-on on. The fact you're able to create a balance between having both academic research and also a professional career background as well. I think this is very much useful. People fail to understand the balance between these two, because basically you're being rated for your applications on what your research experience is. Because when you're going to the schools, these are schools that are really built on research. And if you don't have a research experience, then you might probably be on the, let's say, declining side. So please try as much as possible to bolster that part of your application. Basically, you don't have to do all of this with the aim of getting paid. Try to volunteer. I'm glad Precious was able to highlight the need for volunteering and also the need for you to understand that you should be passionate about whatever you're doing. So thank you so much, Precious. I think just one last question would be, what exactly is it that you advise students? What exactly maybe is it that you think you didn't do that you wish you had done before your application, such that people can be able to like pick learnings from it?
One thing I didn't do, I think I'll have to think about it. Maybe one thing I didn't do while I'm on the program, that's probably what I can answer. But currently, I don't think I can really remember anything that I didn't do during my application that I think I should have done.
Mm.
Not really anything I can think of. Maybe submitting earlier. I don't know. I submitted on that day.
That's true. Actually,
Yeah.
somehow it's always good to have things like properly planned and well timely organized. So yes, I understand. But don't worry, it's good. You submitted the perfect timing. You got the application. Nobody can hold you. Oh, yeah, that's beautiful. But please, guys, always do well to have your applications in a timely manner. Not necessarily that you have to submit it too early, but make sure that you're very much time conscious with your applications. You always have it down for review if you want anyone to review it, and also just try to make sure you follow up with people so that they are also timely in reviewing your application. Well, thank you so much, Precious. This is really helpful. We are glad that you are able to get into the program. We're glad you're doing something you're so much passionate about, which is international law. And I'm sure that you're standing as a role model for many that are also going to be applying in that same stream. So please keep making us proud. We are here for you. And Nigeria is also proud of you as well. So yes, we move to the next session. Yeah, thank you. And that we are welcoming Chinaza to talk around the application. So Precious has given us some soft landing around what the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship entails and probably what the application would also require. Chinaza, are you there on the call?
Yes, I'm here, and I've actually prepared a PowerPoint presentation for my own. Like, can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you. Thank you for joining. So I'm going to let you share your screen and
okay, perfect. So
thank you so much. Just amazing all the wonderful resources we have here to share. I hope everyone is making the best out of this.
okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
So good evening, everyone. I am Chinaza Juliana Okafor, 2022 Implant Plus awardee, and currently I am a student of Swedish University of Agricultural Science. So a little tea about myself. Something that when I tell people that always fascinate, like that kind of how. Actually, I'm among the recent graduates, people that wrote their final paper this year. Yes, maybe first time an Erasmus an undergraduate is getting a master's degree, right? Or starting a master's before completing the graduate.
Sound is too low.
Yeah, so first, I'll just give a brief summary. So first, December 2021, when my friend sent me the link to apply for the program, I first looked at, because I'm an agricultural student major, I looked at it, I was like, I wanted to go into horticulture. I looked at it, I was like, I'm not seeing anything related to my field, but it was like, just go for plant breeding, you love it and everything. So I'm like, I started the application and everything. That was December period. Then January, school have no resume. I needed to get all my document ready. One thing was I already had my international passport and everything. So, and unlike the previous speaker, I was very close to lecturers and to my supervisor. So I got my recommendation letter like very early. Then the only thing was that, okay, I'm not a graduate, so I need my transcript and I need a statement that I'll graduate soon. That was 2020. That was 2021. Yeah. So before then, there was no strike. So I got a letter from the department that was saying that I will graduate by July 2022. That was in January 2022. And I got my result from first year to fourth year. One lucky thing is that my program allowed people in their final year to apply.
Okay.
So I applied and my CV was on point. I had publications, I had seminar I've attended, like I've presented papers, and I also have some other international things I've done. Like I've attended a program by Association of Commonwealth Universities in India, like a summer program. So everything was just good for me. But the only thing was just the transcript. So when I got the email that, okay, you are eligible for the interview, I was like, okay, first step. So finally I got it. Everything at the end. Let me not just waste our time there. I got the scholarship. ASU came. And it was like hell for me. So I didn't know what to do. But I was not like, I'm not going to give up on this. Like this was my first time trying like this scholarship. And it was the only one I applied for. I didn't apply for any options, any other one. So, and I got a letter from the deputy vice chancellor of the UNN that I should go for my program. Like I was submitted to my program, I should go. Whenever they call up the strike, I can write my exams online. Nigerian promises. So I came here to Sweden and started my program. They called up the strike a month later, 2 months later, and my supervisor advised me that it's best I come back to Nigeria and write the exam because, you know, you trust Nigerian lecturers can be like, they've not paid them enough and a student is outside, like more work. So I came back, I wrote my exams and came back here. But one thing I did was I was always in touch with the admissions office here in Sweden at my school. So it was always like a constant communication with them to know. Yeah, so that's a little thing about me. My result is not yet out, but I'm done with my final year. But first, I'll be done with my first year of my master's. So yeah, let's get to it. So the benefits of doing a scholarship like with Erasmus is that first you get to further your education, your studies outside, where they have state-of-the-art technology and like they have lecturers and researchers that have done like good works and current works that invoke whatever is happening now. Then you can carry out a research project, a very good research project with good equipment, laboratory, and you can secure a good job. That's one thing that is common. Then you can obviously tour around Europe, and you could secure like the paper. Like when you're done, you could get like 1 year extra permits for you to stay back and look for a job. And then network, that's the most important thing. Your classmates, you get to network with them. They can be your future office mates or your future colleagues and everything, but most importantly, you get to network with people. That's one of the benefits. Then, sorry, my slide, okay. So the problem is that they are limited, like this Erasmus, in as much as this much, like we have about 183, if I'm not mistaken, it's still limited. The scholarship is limited because if you think you are the best, and when you see the CV of the next person applying, you'll be like, man, I'm not the best like at all. Like that's the fear. And again, limited slots, 3% per country. And like in my program this year, about 200 persons apply from Nigeria, and they only need 3%.
Are you serious?
Yeah, wow. And they only need 3%, 200 apply from Nigeria. So like it's limited slots and limited scholarship. So that's the problem there. How do you now, like the next question is now, how do I now make my application standard? Because out of the pool of every other applicant, how do I make my own standard? How do they see that this person is really qualified to like take over this position? So the solution is that there are different things we do, like before application, during application, after application. So Precious have thrown more light to what you can do before application, but I'm just going to give a snippet. So the first thing you could do is to obtain your application documents as early as possible, like as early as possible. One thing I know is that I always do, like what I did that helped me was that after the end of my first year, the beginning of my second year, when the results are ready, I made sure I gathered all my results, put it like in a document. There's a way I type it like to be like what the records give you. Then I'll give it to our exam officer. He will cross-check with this what we have, and the HOD will sign it. And then I'll have it ready because that's what I've been doing for my first year, second year to my fourth. That's how I was able to get all my result, at least before the main one is out. Then the first degree certificate, I said that I don't have any yet, but I was able to get a letter from the head of departments to ascertain that, yes, I'm a final year student. I'm done with my projects. It's just because of the academic strike. And once it's called off, I'll be allowed to write my exams. Then English proficiency certificate, if you got it from your school, UNN, I think is 5,000 naira. UI, I think is 1.5. So you don't need to write TOEFL, IELTS for Erasmus. Then the CV format for Erasmus, it's always Europass, and it's like a website. It's also a website like where you go and give it your details, and it now arranges your CV the way like it would be. But you have to like know what you want and how you want to arrange it before you like it does the work for you. Then recommendation letters, obviously from two persons. One must be from your supervisor, and again from another one from your lecturer. The reason why from your supervisor is because maybe you've done project with him and he can be able to like, just like Precious say, you'll be able to like say so many good things about your research skills. And yeah, so international passport. I got mine in 2018 when I wanted to do one exchange program with Erasmus, but my department refused I should go. But still, I know the economy of Nigeria is very terrible, that getting passport now is a big deal. Yeah, when I renewed mine, because I had to renew mine, they told me to renew because it was supposed to expire this year. So I had to renew it like 8 months ahead. And I paid like 65K, which is a huge amount of money. I know how I begged my people, like, Mom, I beg, please. Like, because they were like, the first one, I didn't use it. Then I'm like, this is really, really important, and I've already gotten what I want.
Passports of that nature, yeah.
Thank you. But the first one I got at 25K. That was in 2018, at least when it was still a bit cheaper. So one thing I would advise is that we all have a way of making money. If you could start saving up small, like 1K, 500, 2K, you could apply and just wait for the normal protocol, waiting for 1 month to start involving the express, and you get the passport ready. Then proof of residency usually from High Court, 1,000 naira, you can get it. Then publication and conference, same. It is really, really important that you have a publication or a conference. Just attend one national conference. Don't say because you don't have any paper. Get close to lecturers and be like, sir, can I help you in any conference you want to attend? Can I maybe write up something or help you to analyze or even pay some part of it? It is really not like in a school now, when they announce number of graduates, like 1,000 persons may be first class graduates. And you're not the only one standing. So something must stick out for you. So you need to be when they look at your CV and look at your qualification, they'll be like, man, this person really mean business. So online courses, do a whole lot of online courses. Like I did with FAO, do online courses that are related to your field, not just because it's online. You now start doing so many things that are related to your field and relevant for you, not because let it be like you have an online certificate that is from a good school. Like all the online courses I did are for agriculture. The one I did with Coursera, agriculture, United Nations agriculture, World Trade agriculture, so that they will know that yes, my career goals, I'm really working towards my career goals. The leadership and training experience, you can take up some leadership role. It's not a must, you must be the president. There's something my lecturer told me when I was contesting for the president of the department. He said, Chinaza, you don't have to occupy a position for you to be a leader. You don't really necessarily have to occupy a position for you to be a leader. You could be a leader for whatever you are doing. And I know that I'm a leader, even not like having any position, but I'm still a leader. But still, you could just take up something. Maybe in a class, the lecturer is looking for who to be a coursework for something. Easily, you're taking up that role, because when you're trying to explain how your leadership skills are kind of fine-tuned in a way of thinking, this is one of them. Because handling people in a university from different cultural background, with different thinking mentality, you'll be pushed to the edge. Then imagine what will happen when you come over to another world where people are from different continents. People are still from the same continent, the same Nigeria, and you're having difficulty managing. What will happen when it's not out there? So before application, one other thing is to critically analyze the program before selecting it. Is the program firmly in line with your education or training background? You went to Erasmus catalog and you saw 183 program and you started in applications. Like, you don't even know if it's with your education background. Like, as I studied agriculture now, I can't be applying for international law. It doesn't make any sense. They will filter the application, first of all, by checking the education. And once it's not related to what they want, they will just throw it away. So instead of wasting your time in applying for things that are not related to your educational background, just remove it. Then, are you eligible? It's also important. Like a friend of mine is also an Erasmus scholar, myself, 2022, but it was graduated a year ahead of me. And he applied for this program. I got implant, but it wasn't given because he didn't study more of crop science, though he studied agriculture. They told him they needed to see more courses in crop science. So check if you're really eligible for the course before you apply. Then what is the objective of the program? You search for it. Then you now say, is there funding? Because now recently some of the Erasmus program don't have funding again. You apply, not checking if you still have funding. Then you now after get having hopes that you get this, and at the end you'll be like, okay, you've been offered admission with that funding. Like, what happened at the beginning? Not knowing that you were the one without checking if you have funding. Like Planted now doesn't have any funding, so you have to check. And again, one thing is that most Erasmus scholars, or few, is only for 1 year, and in Europe you need 2 years masters. So if you get for the 1 year, that means you still need another 1 year master for you to be eligible for a PhD or position, even for some work, because some work they will require you have up to 120 credits in the TCT, some will just 160. Then you can now search and connect the previous recipients of the program. You search online and to see, okay, who have received this program, and connect with them on LinkedIn. And when you connect with them on LinkedIn, be formal about it. Hello, I am this person. I want to apply for this position. Please, I need your guide. Not hello, dear. How are you doing, dear? Thank you for. No, please, no. Just be formal about it, because the person really wanted to get straight to the point, because they also have whatever they are doing. Sure. Then during the application, what would you have to do? You write a motivation letter. this is your selling point. This is where, like, how you sell yourself to the committee members, like to the selection committee. Like, you sell yourself first. Like, we are selling yourself. Avoid making unprofessional statements. We are used to watching a lot of American movies that now, like, when we are writing, when we are speaking to people, to our fellow, to our colleagues or to our mates, we use so many informal language. But when we are writing, we're supposed to make it formal and avoid the use of shorthand. Then must be in line with the program. Let your motivation letter be what, like, if they set objective that they need someone that study crop science, you tune your motivation letter to be something like related to that. Like, you write it in a way that it is related to the objective of the program, not just abstract. Like, for me, when I started, one of my first sentence was that I tried to present that plant breeders are the integral part of the integral team in the food system. I praised them to tell them how important they are. Then I now started to, like, sell myself and I told them, like, this is what I want. I want to be a plant breeder. What have I done? First of all, I gained admission to study agriculture. I told them what I wanted. Then what is my goal? Like, how have I worked towards achieving that goal? I gained admission. Then not just gained admission, what have I done? I started, like, applying for so many online courses, taking up doing volunteer work, taking up publishing, attending conferences, because I want to be a researcher. Because one thing about implants is that different schools you're applying to have specific reason what these schools are for. Like, my school is only for research. Then the one in France is for breeding, like for plant breeding, for business. So I told them the reason why I want to, because I want to be a researcher and I want to be a core scientist, that it can be proven by the number of applications I have. This is to show that I'm really serious with this business. So again, when you're submitting, don't use email like domikis@gmail.com, jagaban@gmail.com, all these business email that will make up just like fill up some sort of website. No, like, I use my UNN official email, juliana.okafor.23667 official. I don't want to use anything that will, like, make or mar my application. Like, then mar my application rather. Then I rather use email that includes your friend. Then again, do not lie about your achievement, rather present what you've done properly instead of lying to add up stew and sauce to what you've not done. Like, just be plain and be open about what you've done, but rather there's a way you can fine-tune what you've done and make it sound so interesting to the person, because wow, this person has done this, not knowing just like a minor thing. I mean, like, it would be like you just participated one day to sweep your class. There's a way you be like, yeah, you say, like, I'm a big fan of sustainability, that I've participated in Operation Keep the Society Clean, that I was among the organizing community, and we were able to, like, gather about 1,000 people. In as much as you swept your class, your faculty, that's what you did, but you are also in a way kind of keeping the society clean. But you did not do anything, you're just telling them that you did something. That's it. But there's a way you can present it. I'm not saying you should lie, actually, but just that there's a way you can present it. Then the SOP. So for me, for the implant, they gave us 5 questions to answer. What's your career goal? What's your research? And why are you interested in this program? How would this program improve your career? And then another question, how would it improve your community? How would you use the program to improve your community? So in as much as when you look at the question, they all look similar, but it's really actually different. Like, it's from bottom to top. First, yourself, your community, then the world at large. So your interest or motivation, like, must be in line, as I've said before. You have to put a relevant achievement. There's some of these awards they give in the faculty, like, you have to pay for them to give you the award in faculty. All this, like, faculty award, like maybe best in this, best in that. Of course, they're not relevant. You don't need to include it in your CV that I was once named best in this, best interesting, or the best scholar of the year. That can't be proved. If they want to trace it back, you would see that you pay 3,000 naira for it. Come on. Like, and if they check your result and check, I'm like, there's no correlation between what you're saying and what is happening. So it has to be, like, kind of balanced. Then your previous experience, like in UNN as an agriculturist, we did 1 year farming, like IT that we do, wear our green overall. So that's my previous experience. For 1 year, we're in a farm, different things. So I was able to fine tune it and told them that I was an intern breeder. Obviously, I was a farm superintendent because I was attending the farm, going to the I was harvesting, planting, rearing livestock and soil science, and doing some soil survey, some community service. But what I know is that for the intern breeder, we did it in our school. So we did it in my IT because we breed for hybrids of maize. We even did for tomatoes. And so in as much that's not the only thing we did. I could have told them the other ones, but because what they needed was to see my skill as a plant breeder or as a researcher. So I just put it there. Then the leadership and volunteer, then what you hope to gain from the course, like, and the post-study plan. What's your study? I told them that I want to be a researcher. And again, I want to have I want to collaborate with breeding company back home in Nigeria. You also have to tell them that, yes, you want to do something back home in Nigeria, not just for their country. In as much as they're training you for you to develop their country more, but you have to tell them so that they will just believe it. So the next is what happens during the application. Ensure your application is complete before submitting it. Like ensure, because my program also 600 total applied for the whole world, 200 from Nigeria, but only 500 were complete application. So some of those people that are rushing thinking they submitted, but my program can be generous enough when they look at your application and motivation and find out you've not submitted something, they will send you an email that, okay, this and this is missing. You could just send it to immediately, they will give you a time frame. So ensure first the application is complete, then cross-check all documents. I will have to make some, there was this trend about a student, a scholar, I would think it was in USA, that used to the same recommendation letter from he used the same thing to apply, like two person gave him the same motivation letter. Obviously he drafted the motivation letter, but
like
he
the same
submitted
format of letter thereabout. Is that what you're saying? The same content?
Yeah, the same content, yes.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, submitted the same content for the motivation letter because you were asked to submit two. So you submitted the same content because one thing with a Nigerian professor is that they will always ask you to draft what you want them to say. So you draft it. So he drafted one and gave it to two persons. And he submitted it to.
Not submitted.
So that's why you have to cross-check all the documents again. Cross-check it to. Then again, submit on time, not too early or too late. There's a reason. I submitted 2 days before the deadline. And some of my friends that got my classmates submitted 2 days, a few days before the deadline. The reason is because the selection committee starts selecting immediately after the deadline. So those that submitted on the first day or the second day, they may sometimes be overlooked. So it's always, don't submit on time. Submit on time, not too early and not too late. Maybe 2 weeks in between.
Okay.
2 weeks in between. Yes, 2 weeks in between. Not too late, but not Then after the application, you pray, you rest your mind. You pray to God or to anyone you serve to grant your wish for you. Then you rest your mind. Then you always check your email. Always check your email. Let your email be your best friend. Then you be optimistic and always be hopeful that they will call you, you get this position and everything. And then when selected, inform your referees and thank them. That's what some of the scholars fail to do. When they are selected, they don't inform their referees. And when they now seek for another recommendation letter, the referees don't even know that they were selected. You didn't even tell me. So, and if you receive a love letter, it's not the end of the world. The love letter is no, it's not the end of the world. So you could apply for the next program or you move on to other scholarship. Then know that the process involved in scholarship application can never be done in a day. It can never. Don't say you start applying by maybe the deadline is 14th. You start applying or gathering everything by 13th of January. No, it can never, because even writing motivation letter will take you 1 week. You first of all write the first one. Because you cannot send someone your first draft. You first of all write the first one. Then when you finish sleeping, then the next day, maybe you finish enjoying and come back, your head is not correct. You start looking at what you wrote. You start again. Then you send it out to someone to review it for you. Remember, the person has his own thing to do. So he's not going to do it immediately for you. So then you wait, at least start on time. Then don't be pressured because don't think about this person, maybe in your class, somebody in your class that has high CGPA is applying for that same position also, and you're applying. Don't feel pressured and don't even feel like the person that applied that was the best grading student, Faculty of Agriculture. He said before me, he wasn't giving it, and I was giving the opportunity. And he has when you look at his CV is it's too much. And I look at mine, but don't be pressured. Just work on yourself and keep on working on yourself and keep on believing that you get and keep on improving your CV and keep on improving your motivation letter. And one thing again is that it just maybe let me just take the glory small. Like after the ending, as much as I was an undergrad, I still topped the list of the selection of the I still topped the selection list.
That's
And so like when I tell people, they say like, so if you have any younger sibling in university, you could just advise them. It's never too late to start. Start from your first state to organize yourself. Then and taxmita, that's thinking in Sweden. So any questions?
What does your welcome in Sweden sounds like?
Pardon?
What does your welcome in Sweden sound like?
Sorry, I don't know. I'm not learning the language.
Let me see. Yeah, so thank you so much. That was really, really insightful. And wow, I can't really imagine what the application would have been for you. In a way, I feel like I should apply for this program. Thank you. Well, yeah, I'm glad you were able to like outline some very important things that some of us fail to take cognizance of. I see your story as one that it sounds like an outlier, somebody who actually breaks will I say tradition of what people expect should be for an Erasmus Mundus scholar. For you to have gotten the scholarship, even during your undergraduate, shows how much you gave in your best, and people were able to see the passion. I'm also happy the way you were able to outline what transformational leadership entails. You don't have to wear the cap of a president or vice president. It's more or less what impact are you able to make in that little office you find yourself. Do you even need to be in an office for you to be able to like make people see the shared vision and passion that you have for change? And then also, you're talking around how people should reach out, especially to early awardees or people who could serve as mentors. It's always good to take cognizance of how courtesy applies to reaching out to people. Don't just reach out to someone and say, hi there. Like when you said it really struck me because I know when I look through my LinkedIn and social media and I see how people reach out, I become scared. I'm like, God, please give me the grace. Sometimes I feel like I should call them out. Other times I just like become, welcome them and then try to correct them. But please try as much as possible to be thoughtful when reaching out to people. It's very much helpful. Some of them are passing through a lot, not because they have scholarship or in the heavens, no. Some of them have studies that they are coping with assignments and the likes. And then the last part, which is whatever you're doing, try to see that it revolves around your passion and then you want to tailor it back to Africa. So it's one thing to want to get the scholarship, it's one thing you want to get the admission, but then how do you want to tailor it back to sustainable impact in your little community, in the country, and even the continent as a whole? So Chinaza has already like blown our minds with regards to that. Don't forget to thank your referees. Those are the real MVPs. You shouldn't leave them aside. So yes, thank you so much, Chinaza. I think now we can actually take questions. If anyone has any question, both for Precious and Chinaza, feel free to use the raise hand button and then we'll take it. While we wait for questions, Chinaza, do you necessarily need to have experience with more than one language? Like, do you need to like know how to speak more than one language? What was it for your case? Is it just English?
No. It don't like, except maybe if you're applying to go to France or Spain. For France, although it used to be taught, but it just for you to have an edge during the class and for you to like always understand, then maybe just know French. But apart from, you don't really necessarily need to like just
so
English is enough.
Sweden, you don't you need to learn the language?
No, I'm not even learning their language because I'm not going to stay out. I'm moving to my next mobility. Wow. And I may not do my PhD here.
Okay, so we're talking about your next mobility. Which country are you going to?
It's in Austria, Boku, Vienna.
Oh, Vienna, okay.
Yeah, I'm going to.
Maybe I should start planning my trip to Austria. Probably.
I heard it's an expensive city, but it's lovely.
So ahead. Don't worry. We'll find a way. Yeah, so please, questions. Does anyone have any questions, please, before we jump to the last session?
Yeah, I do have a question.
Okay, please go ahead. To introduce yourself and then your question, please.
Hi, my name is Delia. I'm very grateful to Precious and for their lovely presentation, and I've closely followed and listened to all they've said. But I have a question now. This Erasmus, from the both of them, their standpoint, it makes it look like if I haven't been preparing, for example, I'm not a student, I'm done with school, you get. So does it mean that if I hadn't started preparing from school, Erasmus is not for me? That's one. Then two, let's say I'm interested in masters in public health research, not public health academic, not MPH. Um, the research part of public health, and then I check on the Erasmus platform, but I can't find it. I'm seeing masters in public health. Now, does it mean that is it only the courses I'm seeing on that very confusing website that is for Erasmus, or as in, are there more of that? Do I need to apply to a school before coming to apply for the masters, the scholarship programs and all that? So those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. So who wants to tackle the question? Chinaza, do you want to go for it? If Precious is still on the call, she can then jump as well.
Okay. Delia, just thank you for your question. So first, you don't necessarily need to be in school for you to start applying or start preparing. Like, I have people that are already out of school that got a scholarship. But the only reason why it's good that you are in school, that you are preparing, is because first, you have lecturers still available for you to meet for your recommendation letters. And again, like, maybe you want to apply for your transcript and you are still available within school, you'll be able to like process it very well and okay. But you don't necessarily, as you're working, that's even the best thing because you have work experience now that could back up your academic background. So that's the perfect thing. So you don't necessarily have to be in school. So for the second one, the masters in public health research, not the most times they will put like masters in public health. Doesn't mean that they don't have, just like for let me use my own program, they said planned reading. It could be planned reading for business or planned reading for research. So, but the problem, the real deal there is that the universities that you're applying, that the universities under the plan, like the consortiums under that program, have their own different role they are playing in that research. For example, Sweden is for research, why France is for the business aspect of it. So it's now when you look at it, you go to look at the consortium to see the specification of the consortium. To see, okay, is this consortium focused on research, or are they focused on the applied part of it, like the hospital part of it, or anything, or just the research to do more? So I feel like for Erasmus, one thing about Erasmus is that it's cut across all areas of each field, like all areas of a field, like both the research aspect of it, the applied part of it, and the industrial aspect of it. It's cut across it, so you could always find something that you want.
Thank you so much. Precious, I don't know if you have any question, or would you want me to take the second question? We have Philemon raised.
Yeah, I think she's answered all. I mean, she's given the necessary answers. Maybe the only thing I'll add would be, like she said, you don't have to be a student to get it. True. And you can start from, I don't know if maybe you've had work experience in public health, or you've done some things. So whatever it is you've done in the past can add up. And if you've not done so much, you can start now and, start doing something or strategize, maybe give a year. I don't know if the MPH application is still open. If it is, maybe you can give it a shot. If not, if it's not open, you can, set a clear strategy for yourself between now until the next application phase of things you want to do, publications, research, and I don't know, work experience that you could do to get it. So you can apply.
Thank you so much. All right, Philip, can you go ahead with your question? Please, if you're not speaking, can you mute yourself?
Okay, I have a question.
Sorry, who's speaking at the moment?
Okay, this is Chinaza Evans.
All right, Janet, could you just permit me to take questions of people whose hands are raised up, and then we'll come to you. Please, I apologize.
All right.
Thank you so much. I've taken note of you, and I'm going to definitely ask you. Philemon, please go ahead with your question.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Mine is just to appreciate for the presentation, but I have one question. Basically, I did apply for the Erasmus Mundus But the challenge that I had basically was that the actual course that I was interested in, it had a deadline, and they wanted my valid passport up to August 2025. But my passport was expiring this year in January. So I didn't apply for that particular course. I did something similar to that. So my question is, does Erasmus Mundus accept someone to apply for two different courses? That's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Precious, please, if you want to jump.
Yeah. So the good thing about Erasmus is you can apply to, okay, so I think the year I applied, that was last year, they said you could apply to as many as you want, right? But even though that was the former, let me start like this. The first rule was that you could apply to a maximum of 3 courses. But the rule was changed and extended that you can now apply to as many courses as you want. However, even despite the fact that this new rule of applying to as many courses as you want had been made, for my course, regardless, it's still expected that people did not apply to more than 3. So even though the current rule now is that you can apply to as many courses as possible, as you qualify for, as you want to apply for, I think you should still check with your program. Like if your program says, oh, if you're applying to also, you have to make sure you don't apply to more than 2 other ones. So whatever it is your particular program says will supersede. But if your program doesn't say anything about it, then the general rule applies. Even though you can apply to as many courses as you want, I will still say that I would not advise anyone to apply to like 10 courses, 7 or even 5, because really the limit to how much courses you can really apply for and put in a valid and solid and strong application is actually limited. Do you get what I mean? Because if you now apply to as many, there's a higher risk that you would not do a good application. And also, when you also look at the course catalog, like maybe maximum for someone that, like maybe the maximum amount of courses you will find relevant to what you've studied and relevant to your work experience might be maximum 3. So maybe you can limit your application to maybe like 3 or 4 to be able to actually not just apply, but actually make or put a solid application.
Thank you so much, Precious. That was really helpful. So we'll take the next 2 questions, one from Onyechi and then one from Chinaza. Onye, please go ahead with your question. Hi, Onye. Can you please unmute yourself and ask your question? All right, Chinaza, if you're still on the call and you have your question, please go ahead. This is your special moment.
Hi.
Okay, Onye is here. All right, go ahead, please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Onyechi. I'm an 200 level undergraduate in the Department of Crop Science.
Glad to have you.
So my question is directly going to Chinaza because I actually know her. And some lecturers use her as an example for me. So she talked about a few things like getting before applications that you need to get, about getting your documents and is based on the seminar presentation. How do I get to attend seminar presentations and program? That's what I want to know mostly.
All right. Chinaza, please, just very brief. Thank you.
Okay, sorry. Hi okay, so you could for me what happened was that I made use of the COVID lockdown. That's when I was able to do my project while I'm 40, so while in my final year. Then when the results were ready and everything, so my supervisor thought about, okay, let's start publishing it. However, you could still be able to write some things. Like when you, first of all, type maybe any lecturer in the department, you type their name on Google Scholar and search for the number of publications they have and what their publications have always been like, or what their research interest is. Then you could message them or could meet them after class and like, sir, so I went on Google Scholar and researched about you and I was able to see some things, I'll be interested in being in a research group to help, like maybe to train my research skills or to help with whatever I can do when maybe doing anytime you want to publish or like for any conference or seminar. Yeah, and again, since when UN, I would advise you the most important person or the best person to meet is Professor Berry, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
and
you.
also, I would like to ask concerning how did she get her English proficiency certificates?
Okay. I didn't apply online, so I sent it to someone who works in ICT to help me apply because I couldn't apply since I'm not yet a graduate. So the person now went to a registrar's office and was able to like get the letter from the registrar. I could send you the contact maybe when you're ready.
Okay, I'll definitely need that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Unye. I think your questions were very apt. Next person would be Chinaza. Chinaza, please, could you go ahead with your question?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Chinaza. Thank you.
So my question is directed to Chinaza. Okay, she talked about passport issues and all that. Then my question is, for the fact like some people are not from a financially buoyant family, so and is right on campus there is this struggle to even feed, to do most things. And before when you get the scholarship, you have to process the passport and all that. So how the person like you trying to combine hustling and studies together in order to raise funds for the passport? That's my number one question. Then the second question is you trying to like when you apply for the scholarship, you want to base in the industrial aspect of the course. How do you go about it? Then she also made mention of Professor Bayeri. I've met Professor Bayeri at a conference, but the thing is, most crop science lecturers, they look scary, they look unapproachable. How do we like approach them, and how do we make them like buy, like just, I don't even know how to put it, but how do we make them see us like and make them assist us in stuffs? Then about the conference, like it's until you meet some lecturers before you are able to get something. So how do we go? Like I just need her to just explain how we meet lecturers. Like most of them crop science, they are so scary. Like I don't like approaching most of them. So I just need her to just answer the question, please. Thank you.
You're requesting for paid information, but don't worry, we'll give you. All right.
Okay. Chinaza, my namesake, right? So first, you talked about the international passport. So you have to get it first before you apply, because it could be reason, if you don't have it, it could be one of the reasons they will reject you. However, because of the problem in Nigeria, most of us are not from financially buoyant. I'm also not from it. I don't know, because this is based on personal stuff. So I will just tell you, like, one, first, as you are hustling to stay alive in school, maybe you could be saving up small. But there's this thing about Twitter academic or the academic Twitter family, that once you need something about international passport or you need support for something, they'll even go out like to help you and get what you want. So you could reach out to people like those people on Twitter and like tell them that you want to apply for a scholarship next year, but you don't have international passport for it. You could also meet some few friends and ask them little contribution. It's not almost one person will give you the whole money. 1,000 naira, 2,000 naira, 500 naira, 200 naira. Before you know it, you'll be able to like get something big. Then for the lecturers, not only in UNM, most lecturers in Nigeria, like their face, like I wouldn't blame them one thing, because federal government is not even trying to like satisfy them or to give them enough money. So they are not smiling. They don't even want to allow students to approach them. And again, because of how students act these days, when a lecturer even tries to be friendly, they take it to as if it's something else. So I think, first of all, you need to prove to the lecturer that you're really serious about what you want. take up the courage, you go to the person's office, knock, excuse me, sir, I am this person. I want to talk to you about something. And again, one thing I know UNN or crop science does is that from second year, they give you academic supervisors, that people you could talk to, that are not just there for them to sign files for you. You could also meet them and like tell them about your career goals. Like I told my supervisor from second year, like he was my academic advisor, this is what I want. And from second year, we started working towards me achieving my goals. So tell them right on time that you want to be this person in life and you want to go through this path. Then you ask question about the industrial aspect. One thing about Erasmus again is that they are very organized. That during each course, they always bring people from industry to speak to you, to teach you, to lecture, and even and at the end they will tell you that they have internship open. They have your openings that you could email them directly. That's a way of you actually going to the industrial aspect of it. So Erasmus kind of provides you the platform. It's not left for you to take up the platform, like take it up and now work towards getting it. So yes.
Thank you, Chinaza.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so just like you said, Chinaza, there are opportunities you could actually leverage. There are people who are willing to sponsor as long as they see the seriousness in you. So somehow part of the thing they might probably require is your academic history to see how good you are, your transcripts. If you started applications, probably like see your application materials, and then they are ready to take you in and onboard you with free passports. I think I've benefited from one, the Education USA of that like. So these are things you can actually like plan towards, and they are always funding available. You can always reach out to Chinaza. She has money now, so she will help. But yeah, thank you so much. And lastly, George, before we move on to the last session, George, please, your question.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
I think my question is somehow, I want to know the number of publications you need to have a higher chance, and what should your CGPA look like? I'm already a graduate, yeah. I'm Chinaza's classmate. So I don't know if you must be a first class student before you apply.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. So that's just my question, nothing else.
Yeah, that is beyond me. Chinaza, they've dragged you.
Yeah, okay. Hi, Dynasty. So
yeah, over.
I'm fine. Thank you for coming on board. So you don't necessarily have to have multiple number of publications. Like one is enough, even if it's a conference, one is enough. It just tells them that you are serious about your academic, like your career, and you are really serious about getting where you want. And your undergraduate was not just for you to go to school and obtain a bachelor's. Again, in as much as first class is important, very, very important, like very, very, but if you graduate with 2-1, it's not like the end of the world. A whole lot of people get scholarship with 2-1. There's someone I know that got 3 Erasmus, 2 USA with 2-1. What the person does is that, what the person did different was that he kind of equipped himself with a whole lot of experience relevant to his field. He did a whole lot of volunteering job, leadership courses, and a whole lot of, he took up a lot of online courses, and he reached out to lecturers in his department to be under the research group, and he was able to like make some publications. Do you get? Because it was a 2-1. And you being a 2-1, you need to tell them that it's not just because of the academic background. You have other things to offer. That academic failed you, but you still have other things that you could offer. Your CV tells it, and that's even like it could even be stopping the list, selection list. So that you don't necessarily, since if you're not a first class student, 2-1 can get everything. It's not yet late. You can work on getting those things to like support your, like to complement for what you lack in your academic. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. At this point, I want to say thank you to our panelists, Precious and Chinaza, for the amazing nuggets you've been able to share in this very limited time. For everyone who have listened, I hope you've been able to pick 1 or 2 insights, and please use it to tackle whatever applications you're applying, both within the Erasmus and even outside that. So we'll be moving to the next session, which is going to be the last, and we'll be having the gentleman, Mr. Darlington, speak to us around what post-application entails. So Darlington, good evening once again, and the floor is yours. So basically, I think we just want to like talk around how your experience was like, maybe in a jiffy, tell us about how your Erasmus Mundus journey was, and then Chinaza talked about the post. She said, pray, rest. What did you do? Let's start with that.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
But I feel like we can just go with what has been
No,
done.
don't start that one. Don't start it. We all waited for this moment. And this is the special moment. Don't do this.
I feel intimidated right now. I would want to also try to put my voice to a particular question before I talk about my post-application experience. And that's the question from, is it Diala, the lady who talked about persons who are outside school. Okay, for me, I could relate with her question. I graduated in 2017. I got my offer in 2022. So you can imagine 5 years. Not because of it was not my fault. In fact, I graduated with one of the best grades from my department. But I had those delays. I think even what I'm saying now will bring me to my section. When you have applied, what then do you do? So for me, it was, okay, I graduated 2017. Okay, just to be plain, I made first class chemical engineering from Michael Opara, so like second best in my department. So, although for me, I wasn't as informed as Chinaza, I wasn't as informed. So I had that plan to study abroad, but I didn't know that the work actually started from, or should start from the department. I didn't have such consciousness. At best, I was only banging my courses with the consciousness that, okay, maybe they could just retain me as lecturer. Like, okay, so that was the plan for me. Okay, but invariably I finished. The challenge I now experienced was I couldn't go for NYSC immediately because my department just got accreditation in 2016 when I was graduating in 2017. Again, that is why I think this part of Chinaza is very, very important. Reason being, and precious as well. Reason being, if you are already preparing from school, you realize that you don't necessarily, just like Chinaza, this is the first time I'm hearing this. She didn't write her final exam. Okay, so in the same vein, you don't really need your NYSC certificate to do this thing. Nobody, it's only in Nigeria that you need NYSC certificate for anything. Okay, so I didn't know about that. So I was always waiting for service, and why time was going for me. Okay, and truly, scholarship application is a skill. You need those skills. So your first class alone is not enough for it. Okay, so you can imagine people from different parts of the world coming with their first class also, or their distinction, or whatever system they operate with from the country they are coming from. So yeah, so after the, I finished 2017, nothing, 2018, nothing, 2019, nothing, 2020. So that was when I was able to go for service. Although by 2019, I had this friend who finished from chemistry department 1 year before me. I did 5 years, he did 4 years. So he left in 2019 for US for his master's. So my eye opened. So, he was always coming to, my mom had a little business. So he would always come to my mom's shop and tell me, okay, this is the application, this is the opening date, this is the interview. And I'm like, what's this guy saying? Okay. So when he left, that was like, it was as if the scale fell out of my eye, and I'm like, okay, so it's possible. So that was when I started looking out for schools. I did my first applications in 2019, received my love letters in 2020, because that was more like the first time I was doing it, no prior knowledge. Okay. I think the closest I got to was Nawa 20. Oh, okay. Nawa, Poland. Poland I'm in currently. So so that was the closest I actually got to. But I think I didn't have the experience of how to put I think, and that's what one I will really encourage those persons who are around their final year to look out for. It's easier to get into if you can put a very strong research proposal. So I was so close to getting it, but the problem was I told them I was going to get my material from Nigeria. So, you know, that lack of experience in application, when you tell them you are going to get your research material from Nigeria, so their consciousness was like, okay, they will spend more on this guy, and you might not complete your project in record time. So those were also certain challenges I had then. Okay, so fast forward to finishing service, then 2021, I had to revisit applications. Now, because I think what do you do after application is as important as this other section that has been talked about, the preparation in the application itself, and then afterwards. For me, my particular program, the deadline was March 4th. Okay, I knew about my program February 2nd. Okay, and yeah, so you know, so I had 1 month for my motivation letter, get all of the documents, resident permit, like residence, proof of residence, and all of that. So then within that 1 month, my referees are also supposed to submit their referee report. And for my program, you cannot submit your referee report until the applicant submits his or her application. So you see that tight corner I was placed in. Okay, so they can't send it beforehand. Okay, yeah. So what was important? They've said the preparations for. Well, I really want to stay in what I'm asked to talk about. That's why I'm going this fast. But I know personally there are other experiences I would have wanted to share, which you know, Chinaza gave her dynamic experience. Precious gave her dynamic experience. I also have my dynamic experience, which but that's not necessary.
I think you can just find ways to like infuse it into your session as well.
Okay, just to I really want to talk about them from certain things we might trivialize in scholarship applications. You know, certain things we might. For me, when I did my first application in 2019, okay, so the only thing I had to show, or rather, the only thing I think I had to show was my first class. Okay, but when I did my application in 2022, I introduced seminar presentation, even departmental seminar presentations I did. Okay, I had to dig them out. Okay, so I did this seminar presentation of how biological resources could be used for energy, because that has always been my passion, energy, renewable energy. So I now remember that, okay, while I was in 400 level, when we are studying seminar presentation, I did this energy presentation, I did that energy presentation. And now why I said things we have and we don't recognize it, because when you apply to these programs, you know, they have a standard. When they say they are doing seminar, even in departmental level, seminar there is a way they perceive their seminar. I don't know if you get. Now, you might look at the seminar you have done, maybe the lecturers were not even interested in everything you guys were doing there. Okay, but you can also see scholarship application from the point where when you are applying, see things from the eyes of your reviewers rather than the eyes of the Nigerian you are. So for me, later on from 2021, when I started applying, I started having this consciousness, okay, I can see my seminar presentation that I did in 400 level, not from the eye of that guy who, okay, we are doing it, we just want the good grades and everything, but from the eyes of the persons who are going to review my applications. Okay, so if I'm putting, I did a seminar, they are not seeing, they don't, in quotes, they will judge Nigerian system. You know, this bias of where you are coming from. If you are from a rich home, you think everybody should be rich. If you can afford things, you think everybody should be able to afford what you can afford. So see scholarship applications that way also, that this person is looking at my, in quotes, seminar. They will also see it from the nature of their own seminar. Okay, so if their seminar from the institution where they are is a high class, that means my seminar that I would have downplayed in their eyes will be high class. You get, so, well, this is called scholarship hack. So these are also certain things you need to be aware of. So for me, in my application, I had to dig some of those things. Okay, I did this is relevant. Okay, I put it in. Of course, they were not lies. I did them, and in fact, in my transcript, they were you could still find some of these relevant seminar preparations and all of that. Okay, so they were necessary. So having done, I fast forward now, having done that application, I have the concern of, I graduated 5 years. Do I still stand the chance? I graduated 5 years ago. Do I still stand the chance of coming into this program? Okay, yes, I had to reach back to a lecturer. Okay, I want to be part of your publications, which when I was applying, I only had 2 publications, my undergraduate publication, which is a good place to also start from. And then one other publication. I think the best I even did in that publication was I did the formatting of the whole work. That was my contribution. It was later on I started doing writings, which currently I have like 6 publications. I still have plans for PhD, even while in my program currently. Okay, so yeah, so did I stand a chance? I left school 5 years ago. I had to even reach out to, I know a senior colleague from M-Plant. I had to reach out to him. Not that he's a senior colleague. We were in 2017 together, but he got into the program into the Erasmus before me and all of that. So I had to reach out to him. I had this section with him where I was really going to, so these are things you do after the application. Sorry, I didn't mention it, but yeah, if there are fears you have, you could discuss it over with people. Yeah, you could discuss it. So for me, I put a call across to him. He was in M-Plant. I think he was doing his project then. So I told him, see, I graduated 5 years ago. We graduated together. Even the promise of being retained as a lecturer in the school, it did not work for us. Okay, so how do we manage all of this? And he was very, very instrumental. He told me about a lady who was, I think, 80 years old, who got the UK scholarship, Commonwealth scholarship.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, an 80-year-old who got Commonwealth scholarship. So I was like, okay, someone that is 80 years old can get a Commonwealth scholarship. Okay, so those encouraged me, and he told me not to bother. That I can be certain that when these people, when they review applications, they are not biased. Okay, they are not biased in reviewing. So these are also things you could do after your application. You could contact, just like we've been educated on how to reach out to scholars, both in the program or outside the program you have applied to. Once you think they are credible enough, you could always reach out to them, tell them you want to discuss with them if it's possible. Tell them your fears, share your fears with them. That was one thing I had to do with him. I shared my fears literally with him. I think it was just some few days after that discussion, I received the invite for my my interview. Okay, so so I would say that was very instrumental. In fact, for me, I had received a love letter from Decentralized Smart Energy System, DENSYS. Yeah, because like I mentioned, my interest had always been on energy system.
Yeah,
so renewable energy precisely. So I had just received a love letter a week back, and I'm like, I felt bad, but of course I had to move on. I had several applications I was still looking at applying to. I had submitted the BioRef, which the program I'm in. I was able to, within space of 1 month, I was able to put my motivation letter together, sent it for a review, got it back, submitted my referees, also uploaded their reports. Okay. Let me quickly say, while I was able to do that within 1 month was because the man I was working with, the man I was working with, and I'm still working with him now. I had break this period, and I'm like, so I'm waiting for, I'm putting up some write-ups now, and hopefully before the end of this year or early next year, I should have another publication to my name. Okay. Wow. And just this year, 2 came out. You wow. Get, so okay. You can imagine that. So these are, I still work with him. I worked with him. So I was able to quickly put up a motivation letter because I reached out to him and the program was just looking like me. Okay, so it shows you. Yeah, so the program was looking like me. The program was carrying my name tag on it. Okay, so these are some signs we could see. And then when you make such applications, of course, being also a spiritual person, I am, I started having some feedback that, okay, this thing will click, but we don't really want to talk about that here, but yeah, so because you've put in the work, you've shared your fears so that you eliminate them from the process. Okay, so what next then? The interview came just a few days after I discussed with that friend, and I was able to. So quickly, also some of the things I want to say is once you have made such application, you start preparing for the interview. Okay, I didn't do that personally, but it's necessary. I think it's also a sign of the belief of whatever application you have put forward. So you should start preparing for the application. You should reach out to scholars who are in the program. Because you can go as much as asking them for the interview question. I've had a few persons from my program ask me for my interview questions, which I've freely given to them. So you could reach out to them, ask them for the interview questions, and of course, a few of those interview questions are questions like, okay, what's your research? Depends. Different programs have their different questions. Some people might want to become so technical that they want to ask you technical things. Some other persons might just be based on your motivation. Some other person based on your profile. For mine, my program, it was more like on your motivation. Okay, so they ask questions rather like, okay, tell us about your research, because even why it's important to reach out to, you can reach out to scholars from other programs. But why is it important to reach out to scholars from your program? Of course, they have experienced firsthand the kind of question that will come from these persons. And then within that 1 year or more than 1 year of being in the program, they know these persons, okay? So they know their likes, their interests, okay? So for instance, the person whom I eventually reached out to, or who I was able to reach out to, when he saw my profile, when I told him some of the things I've done on the undergraduate project, he was like, okay, wow, that if this particular person interviews me, I can be sure that I will go past because of my undergraduate project. That is his research interest and all of that. Of course, and I could imagine, I don't think it's the popular question, but for me, I was asked, okay, tell us about your research. Okay, and the beautiful thing is, well, you don't just reach out to people who are in your program also, in as much as, we are trying to wrap up, put everything together in just one piece, which many times you might need to pick up these recordings again, listen to them, know where it applies to you and all of that. Yeah, I could remember when I spoke with the implant scholar I mentioned, one of the things himself and several other scholarship platform I was in, one of the things they told me is, when they ask you a question like this about your research, this is how to answer it, okay? Which I want to quickly state. If they ask you, okay, talk about your project, you have to tell them the problem, research question, which we know as the problem, okay? So tell them the solution you were supposed to bring, and then tell them the methodology, okay, you used in order to solve that problem. So you would have, because you don't have all the time. For me, it was just 15 minutes. My interview was just 15 minutes. So you should be able to just take this and talk about them maybe in 3 minutes or 2 minutes. You tell them about the problem or the research gap that was discovered from your work. You tell them about the technique you used, and then you tell them about the solutions. If it's possible, you can even tell them about the results you obtained from your work. Okay, so these are things you need to know if your program is interested in maybe your motivation and your research. Then they could ask you questions like, have you ever studied abroad? Now, the idea I got, because I had a I had a mock interview before that interview, and it was as if I was just coming and they were repeating everything I was told in my mock interview, which is very, very important. So one of the questions one of my mock interviewer asked me was, have you ever studied abroad before? Okay. So how they're not trying to know whether you have studied abroad or not. What they're actually asking from you is, can you cope? Can you cope with culture? Can you cope with food? Can you cope with weather? So it is encompassed in that question, have you ever studied abroad? Okay, so you see, that is why mock interviews are relevant and necessary. So when they asked me the question, I had to now tell them, okay, I'm from the South, I served in the North, I interacted. The North is cold compared to the South. I was able to stay there. I even exceeded my year of national service. So you see, I was
diversity and every other thing.
Yeah, so I was telling them I can cope. Okay, I can cope. Even if I come into the program, I can cope. So yeah, so that's the approach to answer those kind of questions. I think another question I was asked was, then do you have a question which you need to seek relevant questions you could throw at them, because this could be plus to your application also. Yeah, so I think these are why we hit to the other things that have been said before now. Rest, you pray. Of course, if you are praying, that means you are trying to show faith. So it's not wrong when you are praying to start preparing for your interview. Okay, and then I've said a few things also that, yeah, your profile is needed. Okay, and then even if you are away from school, for me it was actually in 2020, that was when I reached out to my lecturer. So I finished 2017 and I'm reaching out to my lecturer in 2020, so more like 2-3 years after. And the first task was, okay, publish your undergraduate work. That was the first task he gave to me, and so you see that this one man who was also one of my recommenders, was pivotal and instrumental. So once I knew that I've put all of those applications, well, we have our different scholarship stories and everything. But at the time when I was applying, he was now even promoted to the HOD position. So you can imagine where someone of that caliber is, even though they are not necessarily relevant when people are recommending you, provided that this person's taught you and to an extent they have what it takes to write a good recommendation for you. Yeah, you shouldn't really look at who is doing that. However, I felt to some extent, there are times they matter. Okay, there are times they do.
Such kind of things.
Yeah, there are times they matter, in as much as that's not the whole picture and the whole story. Okay, so yeah, so after the application, we can prepare for the interview, and I wrote out some of the few questions you could expect. Some of them can be strictly academics, that they want to know formula. I've heard of persons who in interview, can you be asking me a formula? But it's fine. Whatever the case is, people have skilled.
That's how they give it to them hot.
So you can also scale through. And then I can't really start talking about visa now because it's country dependent.
Yeah, true.
For France, you have to do you have to submit some documents, more like a pre-visa interview. And then when you scale through that process, you now go to Campus France. When you go to Campus France checks all of your documents, and then they will now, it is from Campus France, when they feel you have all of the documents, that's when they will now refer you to the embassy. So you see that the US, the European, they have different ways of going about visa application. So, but you don't need to bother about that, because as soon as you come into the program, there is this official or program personnel who is responsible for your coming down. So he feeds you with all of the information you will need to get down to the country where you'll be coming to eventually, if you're particularly the first country you'll be coming to, because that's very, very important. Like now, I have a 1-year resident permit, so I'm in Poland. I didn't need to process another visa for Poland. My resident permit allowed me access into Poland. And okay, so yeah, so you really don't need to bother about this part, because there will be someone to guide you through that. So I feel these are the much I should stay with for now, except you have any other question you want me to talk about.
Yeah, thank you so much, Darlington. That was like spot on. I think just a few questions because of time. The first would be with regards to language. I know you're in Poland, and that ultimately requires that you might have to understand or have a stint of Polish. So did you have the experience of having such kind of language requirements for your program? And what would be your advice to people on that?
Well, this stories could be quite different. For me, I wasn't going to take chance in any application I was making. Yeah, I did for my school, Umudike, we do German in year 1 first semester and second semester.
Okay.
We do French also for semester and second semester. And I think for my French, for semester and second semester, I got AA, and then for German, I got AB. Okay, so my transcript could speak for me, even though I put my French level in my CV at the A1, which is the minimal, of which in my motivation letter, I also expressed that, of how I am interested in the language, even though I'm really not so good in it, but I like to interact with friends who are Nigerians who are studied in other countries. So yeah, so that spies in my motivation also. Yeah, I don't really want to say it's so necessary, but for me, I wasn't going to take chances. Chinaza used a letter of English proficiency from my school, but I did IELTS. Okay, so I wasn't going to take chances like I mentioned. Okay, so yeah, it's not, it might not be, if she was able to, I don't think it's a problem, but for me, they were in my German was there A1, my French was there A1,
English was there, top-notch, skill the roof. All right, thank you so much. So please, guys, if you're going to be applying and your course will actually require an extra language, do well to try to get, even if it's just the basic, take courses, online courses. You don't have to be so proficient in it, but you showing the reason that, oh yes, I really want to do this and I'm motivated to doing it, they will be able to see consideration into that. Next question I'll probably want to ask is decision on countries. How do you go about deciding countries you want to study? So Poland now, probably next year, you're going to be in a different country. So is there like, will I say a tailored way of selecting countries, or this is just on default given to you?
Okay, they're actually program specific also.
Okay.
Yeah, like for my program, everybody has to start from France.
Okay.
Yeah, and then for the second semester, everybody has to also come to Poland. However, the third semester, you can either choose to go to Italy or go back to France. For me, I will be going back to France because of my interest in renewable energy system, particularly lignocellulosic conversions and all of that. Okay, so my choice for that now is based on my interest. It's not necessarily if I want to travel to Italy because of my resident permit, I can go to Italy. So that's not a challenge. Okay, so your interest plays a role. The program structure also plays a role. Yeah, and then I will also advise as much as possible during the application, if you can reach out to scholars who are in the program, it's important. Why I'm saying this is I can't really judge my densest application, but I could remember reaching out to a scholar in the program and he told me this mobility track that is in your motivation, I will advise you to change it because this mobility track is very competitive. Yeah, but for me, I felt, okay, this was really where I could talk more on based on my interest.
Yeah.
I looked at the other mobility and what they were offering is not what I wanted, but a little research to sweep. I can't say if that was what did not grant me,
Magic.
but yeah, but I think he being in the program will be in a better position to tell you what to do. Okay, my program, for me, I still followed the principle I used in Densis. I went for my interest, my motivation, and all of that. Even till now, when people want to change where they are going to, I'm still telling them I'm going back to live. Okay, I'm going back to France and all of that because of what I want to do, because of the opportunities. Where it's just been that interest for me all this while. Okay, yeah. So sometimes your interest could be the drive. Some other times the program has this part of influencing your interest. Then thirdly, it's good to contact scholars in the program, and then they will tell you that okay, this part is quite competitive. You might have more person coming here. So if you look the other way, you might stand a chance.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Next one would be with respect to staying back or coming back home. Does the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship require you to come back to Nigeria or Africa after your studies?
Well, these are informations I will still need to get for myself. Okay. However, the same person I mentioned who finished from M-Plant, he has a 1-year post-study visa in Germany, which I believe it's obtainable even here in France. That rather when I go back to France, because that's where I will, although I might still, with the way things are going, I might still come back to Poland for my 4th semester. Now it will be dependent on my eyes is on a PhD offer, and recently we had a meeting and we are told that okay, if we take an internship with one of the lecturers, there is possibility of even having a PhD offer with her. So my eyes might be on that also, maybe to return to Poland for that. Okay, so I think in Europe, what I know of US, in US you have 3 years. You have the opportunity to stay back for like 3 years. If you do a STEM course, okay. This information is by also discussing with persons who school in that axis, okay. But I know here you can get as much as a 1-year post-study visa to see if you can get a job. Then those are also times you could pick up an internship or maybe apply for a PhD if you want. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. And then I think the last one, which I'll probably want you to just talk around, is how do you keep cool? Like the fact that you're moving from one country to the other, you're here this year, tomorrow you're in another place during the summer. How is it possible that you're able to like meet all those rigorous requirements and still able to like enjoy the diversity that the scholarship provides?
Okay, well, I would have just want to be so plain. I think I would have not been the best person with regards to. I thought I liked traveling, but I came down to realize that I really don't like traveling.
Hey, don't worry. I will drag you. We'll go for adventure. Don't worry.
Okay, but the thing is, at every step, you have guidance once you are in here. For instance, those people who are ahead, I was made to know that when I came in with only a 3-month visa, like it's a 3 months mobility visa. Yeah. And then I was concerned because I had this other Nigerian who had 1 year visa. Okay. And then, yeah, and I was like, okay, why? So it was the senior colleague who made me understand that it's what I have is good in the sense that when I want to come down to Poland, I wouldn't have to process a visa and all of that. Yeah, my resident permit, once you have a resident permit for any European country, you can
gives you full entry to anywhere.
Yeah, you can go to any other European country. So yeah, so that's a possibility. Is a possibility. So but these are things you would know while you are in the program. So and then coming down to Poland, like since January, we already made arrangements for accommodation. You know, even when you are in Nigeria, sometimes for you to go for visa application, you must have secured an accommodation. Some countries have
True.
Yeah, some countries have portals where you could get this accommodation from. So for us here, since it was the second mobility we are coming to, there were already arrangements for accommodation. If you wanted to stay in the school dormitory or you want to stay outside, there was already an arrangement for that. Okay, so you process that even before you come down, because you don't come down until you have a place where you are going to stay.
Sure.
So those are also and then when you come in, a little documentation, maybe another permit and all of that. You just go up, but the information will be available while you do that. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think I'm going to draw the curtain here. You've really been instrumental in this very last session, and basically no one would have done the job better. Thank you for sharing your insights. I know some questions are already dropping in. The one from Anastasia asking if it's okay to share SOPs. So Anastasia, I think because this is a publicly accepted scholarship, and we are also pretty much cautious around will I call it? So yeah, we are pretty much cautious around people disclosing some unique information, and also like, how would I put it? Is it privacy? Is being called or what? It skipped my memory. But yeah, some of this information we want to avoid people repeating the same application standard or style in the application. So please, if you have your SOP ready, and if you want it to be reviewed, our panelists are happy to review if they have the opportunity. All you can do is, like they've requested, is free, it's good to reach out to people already. So you can reach out to them to their social media handles and share your essays with them. Also, Flourish Opportunities Network also allows or gives opportunity for essay review as well. So feel free to reach out. Our social media handles are there available. The Foundation Flourish Opportunities Network. You can also reach out on YouTube. The videos are going to be uploaded there, so you feel free to ask your questions. If you need anyone to review it, we'll be happy to send you someone who will be happy to do that. I'm also willing to review essays if you don't mind. Well, yes, thank you very much. I think the word is plagiarism. We're just being cautious around plagiarism. So thank you very much. To Precious and Chinaza, I can't thank you enough for standing by throughout this very last session. I don't know if you have any last comments you want to share before we call it an evening. Is there any last advice? Is there anything outside the box that you probably would want to share with us, just to give it the amazing end that we look forward to? Who wants to go first? Precious, you want to go? Maybe Chinaza is shy. Okay, Chinaza is no longer shy. Okay, Chinaza.
No, I was thinking Precious would go first, orderly. She went first before me.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I just have a few things to say, or just one thing, for you to attend this program, it's showing how interested you are, I think, to getting Erasmus scholarship. So it's a plus. That's, and again, just when you are determined, to apply for this scholarship, you see all the spirit of wanting every of your application, wanting every of the process to go smoothly will come in, and you don't need to pressure yourself, or you don't need to feel somehow are you going to get it or you're not going to get it. And again, just to mention based on what the last speaker said, as an Erasmus scholar, pack lightly, because you keep on traveling and you don't need to be paying for excess luggage when you get it. And I wish you all the best when you choose your scholarship pursuit. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Chinaza. That was really helpful. Precious, I don't know, Delia wants to ask a question first. Maybe when she asks, we'll now take your last word as well. Delia, your quick question before we round up.
Okay. So please, I wanted to ask. We've all talked about the whole scholarship thing, and for some people, it might just seem very ambiguous. You won't even know where to start, how to go about it, what to even do at this point. So I would like to ask, I know they've listed all the steps, but if everything is so swarmed up in your head, what do you do? Where do you start? That's one. And then two, you talked about first class, second class. What happened to tutu graduates now? As in, what people that have tutu?
That's true. Okay, thank you so much, Delia. Precious, maybe you could just answer that question and then help us round up the session. Thank you.
The first step is it depends on whether you already know which scholarship you want to apply. If you don't, the first step will be to research, check out for scholarships that you qualify for, make a list, maybe there are 5. That's the first step, knowing which ones. When you now find out the particular ones you want to do, take your time, read through the website, every nook and cranny of the website. There's no way after reading through every nook and cranny of the website, you won't know the next steps to take. Don't be overwhelmed, just calm down. You see, many of them write required documents. By reading through the website alone, you understand. For Erasmus, there's a link that I guess is very popular that almost every Erasmus scholar will share. That is the link to the Erasmus Mundus catalog. That's your starting point. Go there. It has all the courses funded by Erasmus. Look for the particular course you want and read through the website from there. That is basically like the step-by-step guidance. You know all the documents you need. Once you get that, start getting your documents ready. Write your SOP. Reach out to somebody who already got the scholarship to review your SOP or to get guidance. Submit your application. If you have an interview, prepare for it. Pray and hope for the best. Sorry, get on your flight when it comes out. Then, for the 2-2 graduates, I understand that it can be hard and it can just be really challenging and frustrating, but I don't want you to lose hope, and I want you to know that it is possible. Although it may seem more difficult because some programs or some scholarship from the beginning will tell you, oh, minimum of 2-1. So what you should just do is already, that's why I said the first step I mentioned was look for the scholarship that you qualify for. There are some scholarships that don't ask for a minimum, like they don't ask for a minimum grade requirement. Even for Erasmus, there are some Erasmus programs that don't put a minimum grade requirements. For those ones, just give it your best. And one thing I would also recommend for you also, as a 2-2 graduate, that doesn't make you any less of a graduate or anything. I can really relate and like an experience because I have a friend, she's very smart and intelligent. She had a 2-2, but I know her, like she's like that 2-2 does not really define her. And I'm glad that she's pushed and she's in a very good place today. And I'll also use myself as an example. In my law school, I had a 2-2 in law school, but I chose to not limit myself by that. So I want to tell you that it is possible and your dreams are valid, right? I also know another Erasmus scholar who's also a 2-2 student, although he's partially funded. But I think I've met another Erasmus scholar who also had a 2-2 on the program. And there's this Government of Ireland scholarship that Ireland government sponsors. I recall a lady posting on LinkedIn about the scholarship and she had a 2-2 and she got it. So there is hope. I mean, it just means that you just have to work harder, but you can do it. So one thing I would advise you to do is now to leverage on many other things. Leverage on getting the core work experience, on getting, like being outstanding in your work. Leverage on writing powerful, as in publications. Leverage on other things that will bring you out and make employers and like even scholarship people know that, look, this person is really worth it. So it's possible, just put the work in all these other extra things, research, work experience, volunteering, impact, and that would definitely make your application stand out, right? I know somebody else, my friend, she had it too, but she's like one of the leading like human rights people, lawyers in Nigeria now, right? There's this European Union funded fellowship for human rights defenders, and she got it and she went. And I think she's only the second person that has gotten it in Nigeria since the program started. So don't limit yourself. You can do it. You see how she didn't allow academics define her, and she, did a lot and built a name for herself in what she does. That's exactly what you should do.
Wow. Thank you so much, Precious. Like, you just served us receipt upon receipt. And then at this point, I feel like I need to collect an autograph because you motivated a lot of us here. So this would be like the best way to end the session. I would like to say a big thank you to our panelists. Thank you very much, Precious. Thank you, Chinaza. Thank you, Darlington, for making it a special thing to be with us on this very fateful day. To all our guests who have actually paid audience to listening to our panelists, you are the real MVPs. The goal is to see that each and every one of you have a reason to grasp such scholarship opportunities made available through Erasmus, and even those available that we've actually done previously from the FON hacks we've had even before now. You can actually have access to this very session on our YouTube channel. It's going to be uploaded. That's the Flourish Opportunities Network on YouTube. Feel free to go there and make good use of all the wonderful information and resources you've been shared with. Hopefully, I can't wait to have one of you come and also share your own story with me on this same channel. And on that note, I would like to say thank you to FON for putting this up for us, and hopefully we believe that we'll all be able to hit our limelight. Thank you so much.